William Stoner was never meant to be anything remarkable, not in the way the world measures it. He wasn't born into influence or ambition. He was born on a small, failing farm in Missouri to parents who spoke little, expected less, and endured everything. His life had a shape before he even understood it. Work the land, stay quiet, continue what came before. So when they sent him to the University of Missouri, it wasn't for discovery, it was for utility. Learn agriculture, come back, fix the farm. That was the plan. And then something interrupts it. In a required literature class taught by Archer Sloan, Stoner is asked to explain a Shakespeare sonnet. He can't. Not in any academic way, but something happens in that silence. Something unsettles him. He realizes the words mean something. Not logically, not cleanly, but deeply. And once he feels it, he can't go back. Stoner changes his path, quietly. No announcement, no rebellion. He leaves agriculture behind and commits himself to literature, not because it promises success, but because it feels undeniable. From that point on, his life isn't driven by ambition, it's driven by devotion. In the years that follow, Stoner becomes part of the university. He meets two men who will define his understanding of the world. Dave Masters is brilliant, sharp, and unafraid to challenge everything. He sees through institutions, calls out hypocrisy, and refuses to play along. He burns fast, says exactly what he thinks, and eventually leaves the university behind. His life moves outward, toward conflict, toward war. Then there's Gordon Finch. Measured, strategic. He understands how systems work and how to survive inside them. Where Masters resists, Finch adapts. Stoner stands somewhere in between. He doesn't fight the system. He doesn't master it either. He simply remains inside it, steady and unmoving. He stays. He teaches. He builds a life that, from the outside, looks small. Then comes marriage. He meets Edith Bostwick Stoner, a woman raised in refinement, shaped by control and restraint. Their connection is brief, uncertain, but it leads quickly to marriage. At first, it seems like the next step, the expected step, but almost immediately, something feels wrong. Edith withdraws, emotionally, physically. Their home becomes quiet in a different way than Stoner's childhood home, not peaceful, just distant, cold in a way that never quite breaks, never quite resolves. They don't fight loudly. They don't reconcile either. They exist beside each other. Then their daughter is born. Grace Stoner becomes for a time the center of Stoner's world. With her, something soft opens up. He cares for her, spends time with her, feels something close to happiness. It's not dramatic, it's not overwhelming, but it's real. And then, slowly, that too is taken from him. Edith begins to reshape the household. Subtly at first, then completely. She pulls Grace away, controls her upbringing, limits Stoner's presence in her life. The bond fades, not because Stoner stops caring, but because he is pushed out of reach. At the university, another shift is happening. A new professor arrives, Hollis Lomax. Lomax is intelligent, observant, and precise, but more than that, he understands power. He knows how influence works, how decisions get made, how reputations are shaped. Their conflict begins over something small, a student, Charles Walker. Walker is unprepared, unable to meet the standards of the course. Stoner fails him, not out of cruelty, out of principle. Lomax intervenes. He defends Walker, pushes back against Stoner's decision. Stoner refuses to change it. That refusal defines everything that follows, because Lomax doesn't forget, and more importantly, he doesn't forgive. Over time, he begins to limit Stoner's career, quietly, strategically. Promotions don't come, opportunities disappear, teaching loads increase. Stoner doesn't fight back, he doesn't play politics, he doesn't try to win. He endures. And then, unexpectedly, something changes. Stoner meets Catherine Driscoll. She's a graduate student, intelligent, curious, engaged in the same work he has quietly dedicated his life to. They begin by talking about literature, about ideas, about meaning, and for the first time in years, Stoner feels fully present in his own life. Their connection deepens. It becomes a relationship, not hidden in shame, but held carefully, privately. With Catherine, Stoner experiences something he has never had. Not obligation, not endurance, joy, clarity, a sense that his life, for once, aligns with what he feels. But the world they live in doesn't allow it to last. Lomax discovers the relationship, and he uses it. Not loudly, not publicly, but effectively. Catherine's future is placed at risk. Her position, her career, everything she's worked for becomes uncertain. Stoner is given a choice without being directly asked. Continue, and she pays the price, or end it. He ends it. Not because the feeling disappears, but because protecting her matters more than keeping her. Catherine leaves, and with her, the only period of true happiness in Stoner's life closes quietly, without resolution. Time moves forward the way it always does in Stoner's life, without drama, without pause. Grace grows up. She marries young, too young. The marriage fails in ways that echo her parents' life. She struggles, drinks, drifts. Stoner watches from a distance. Again, something he cares about slips beyond his reach. At the university, nothing changes. And that is the change. Stoner stops expecting more. He teaches his classes, year after year. Students come and go. Some remember him, most don't. He writes a book. It is published. It receives little attention. The career that might have been never fully forms, but the work continues. At home, the tension with Edith softens. Not into love, not into understanding, into something quieter. Acceptance, maybe, or simply exhaustion. They coexist, no longer fighting, no longer trying. And then, near the end, the body begins to fail. Stoner is diagnosed with cancer. There's no dramatic reaction, no sudden transformation. He continues teaching as long as he can, walking into classrooms, speaking about literature, holding on to the one thing that has remained constant in his life. Eventually, even that becomes impossible. In his final days, Stoner reflects, not on what he achieved, not on what he gained, but on what he held on to. Literature, the brief, bright presence of Catherine, the quiet moments with Grace when she was still close to him. He doesn't reframe his life, he doesn't declare it meaningful, he simply sees it clearly. A life lived without spectacle, without recognition, but not without purpose. In the final moment, he lies alone holding the book he once wrote, the only physical proof that he was here, that he worked, that he tried. As he dies, the book slips from his hand and falls. No audience, no witness, just the quiet end of a life that never asked to be seen. Stoner isn't a story about success, it's about endurance. About the kind of life that doesn't make headlines, doesn't get remembered widely, doesn't change the world, but still happens. Fully, completely, and, in its own quiet way, truthfully.